Hey, what's going on? Keith from Trigger Happy. Going to talk about weight of our AR-15 rifles, how to trim some weight, and how to make our rifles more functional. Had a conversation with a guy the other day that was telling me about how heavy his rifle was, and he was telling me that this rifle had a light laser combo. He had a bipod, the retractable style bipod. He had a bull barrel, and he had a 13-inch full quad rail on this thing. And just, saying, oh man, it's so heavy, I don't like lugging it through the woods. Well, no kidding. What are you doing with this rifle? Well, I'm hunting with it. So why do you need a light and a laser to hunt with? Why do you need, all these extra, useless things on your rifle to go out and hunt? None of us in the civilian world we're not operators. We're not in a combat zone. So I have very little use for all these extra things hanging off my rifle. So when I get on some of these, Facebook forums or where they list guns for sale, or just internet forums where people have pictures of their rifles and so much stuff on them, it's kind of laughable, what people are doing to these rifles. And quite honestly, it's a waste of money, and you're never going to want all that stuff if it ever came to a time where you actually needed to put this rifle into service for its original intent, which is defensive purposes. You're going to rip all that stuff off there pretty much immediately. So here's the rifle that I took and really wanted to trim the fat on, so to speak. This gun started life as a Rock River Elite Operator. Very nice rifle out of the box, but extremely heavy. And the original rifle had stuff on it that looked great and it felt great, but when you actually took it out and fielded the gun, I just constantly complained about how heavy it was and wanted a lighter rifle. I kind of designated this in kind of an SPR role, optics only. So originally it had flip up front sight. It had a really nice iron rear sight that I just never used. So, why not get rid of them? So I'll show you kind of what I did and where I think you can save some weight and do it for a relatively decent cost. The first thing that people want to do is mess with the stock. Rock River, in this instance, puts a really nice stock, and I find that replacing this is costly and unnecessary unless you really don't like the feel of what you've got. Why spend $50 to $100 on a stock if you're talking about purely in a weight sense? You're not going to pick up a lot of weight savings here, and it's just money that can be spent elsewhere. Secondly, the bolt carrier group is another place where you can trim some weight, but again, I don't recommend it. You can look at really nice nickel boron bolt carrier groups. I've seen stuff from Voodoo Tactical out there that's just fantastic. But I'm going to pick up an ounce or two, maybe 3 if I'm really, really pushing it. And, I'm going to spend $300 to do that. Again, I can spend that money elsewhere on a lighter optic or in other places we're going to talk about here shortly. So, again, if you have a functioning bolt carrier group, I think you can find weight savings elsewhere. Like I said, this rifle was set up in an SPR purpose. So I really didn't need those backup sights, so I got rid of those. And here was the mount that I was using. I had kind of a riser set up with these low profile rings. Why have this weight? This is never going to come off the gun, to use the backup irons for my intended purpose for this rifle. So let's pitch this and just go with some extra high rings, that I got for about $45, and I've picked up several ounces there already. Going on down, rail systems is another place you can save a lot of weight, and I'll show you the original rail that came off this gun. First of all, here's the original barrel nut. This is just over-engineered and completely unnecessary. Yes, it was a free-floated rail, but just heavy, can easily be replaced. This is the original rail, and this is kind of a Rock River design. Just heavy, cumbersome. It looks cool. but I'll leave it there as far as practical use. It just added a lot of weight to the front of the rifle that I didn't feel it was needed. And again, this quad style is really impractical if you ask me. A lot of rails are not like this. They're going to come all the way. 9, 11, 13-inch rails, you know, full quad. Are you really hanging that much stuff off your rifle that you need a full quad rail? I'm not, and most people aren't either. So pitch this thing and go with something lighter. This is a Troy Alpha rail, and I really like these style of rails because you can move those rail sections around to where you want them and where you need them. It's a much thinner profile. It's so much lighter. I picked up something like 8 ounces between one rail and the other, including the barrel nut there. So a lot of extra weight just gone. And again, I'm going to be running a bipod probably only, so I'm going to lose this rail section and the one on the other side the next time I have this thing off and want to, you know, reconfigure things. Those are gone. Again, and also it's just more, again, more practical, more useful in my opinion. Also, I mentioned that I had a front flip-up sight, which was built into the gas block, and I know a lot of rifles are that way, but here was the original gas block / front sight, and you can see I actually cut off 2 of these sling swivels here. Just overkill. I didn't need a bayonet lug. I don't need extra rail space on the bottom of the rifle, and I really didn't use the flip-up sight anyway. So a ton of weight saved here just going with a, you know, more traditional low profile gas block. And it's a smoother look, cleaner look in my opinion, and saved a ton of weight there also. You know, why did I opt for the 9-inch rail as opposed to some of the others? You know, weight, that's all it boils down to. I didn't need a full length rail, you know, a rifle length rail on this particular rifle because, you know, other than the cool factor, it was just, again, unnecessary weight. You can pick up some weight on your muzzle device. I do like this particular brake that comes on it that Rock Rover ships it with. You're not going to pick up a lot of weight unless you have a really heavy compensator or muzzle brake out there, but it's a place you can pick up another ounce or 2 out on the end of your rifle, which actually translates to a little more weight savings in terms of feel, you know, because it balances out a little better. But I chose to leave that alone. The last place that I want to cut weight at is the barrel itself. And this is a pretty heavy barrel. If you can see it here under the rail, it's much heavier under the rail than it is out there at the end of the barrel. I like this barrel. It's very accurate and it shoots very well. So I'm going to leave it alone for now. It's another $300 to go with a different barrel, and if I'm going to do that, I'll probably go with an 18-inch barrel. But for now, you know, I don't see the necessity in replacing that, so I'm going to leave that alone. So in these few modifications that cost me roughly $250, I've picked up almost a pound in weight, you know, savings, weight that's gone from this rifle. And to me, that is that's major. You know, we've got this thing roughly at 9 pounds with the optic, which is pretty good if you ask me. I think that's acceptable in my book. So I guess if you're looking to lighten up your rifle, those are a few ways that you can do it relatively cheaply without messing with the barrel and without messing with the bolt carrier group. You can get rid of some of these accessories that are really just weighing you down. Anyway, this is what I did. So if you have other ideas, other ways you're saving weight, you know, link it up, put it in the comments. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.